Hi, this is your 2019 yearly horoscopes with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. Thank you for choosing me to be your guide for the year 2019. I feel very flattered. And I just want, before we start, and this is the intro for all 12 signs, but it's important for you to watch it. And before I start for each sign, I want to invite you to join me in a little prayer, no matter who you believe in and what you believe in, just to focus our energy and to benefit the most through this reading. Dear Mother, Father, Universe, God, exalted angels, guardians of every human, those that are helping the evolution of humanity and of every individual person. Please bless everyone who watches those videos and the whole world in 2019. Let those videos and the information that is given here be useful to everyone, so everyone can use it to the most constructive possible ways, to the highest vibration of the planets. And even if there are challenging periods and moments in our life in 2019, let this video and this information give us not only clarity but a meaning and understanding of those more painful experiences that are in front of us, so we realize that life is not an adversary to battle with and conquer, that life is our benevolent good partner that is trying to lead us to discover our true authenticity. It is trying to lead us to a place of happiness, to a place of truthfulness. So let this year 2019 and the information we receive here, let us use it to the highest good for everyone involved, and let us be able to utilize the planetary energies to help ourselves, to uplift ourselves and those around us. Amen. So I want for you to benefit the most. Thank you so much for joining me, by the way, in the prayer. So for you to benefit the most from this, I want you to take a pen and paper and write down 3 things. And some of you would be just listening your sun sign. Others would be just listening to your moon sign. Others bought all the 12 videos, so you'll be able to be watching your ascendant, sun, and moon. But I always advise you, watch your ascendant sign, because if you go to a professional astrologer, they'll look at your ascendant and how the planets are in correspondence, where they're moving from that ascendant. And nowadays, more and more astrologers are using the ancient time of astrology, which is whole sign house system. So these videos are perfect. The whole sign house system is what when first astrologers created it, the system they were using it. So without the house cusps and anything. So the ascendant is the point of incarnation of the physical body. So it is of the soul into the physical body. It is the physical bodies. That's why it shows the most tangible things that are happening to us. That's why I always advise, check the prognosis for your ascendant sign. The moon sign is our inner world, how we feel, our self-consciousness. So the moon usually manifests the second most powerful after the ascendant sign, because we especially strongly identify with how we feel about something, and something that impacts us emotionally. And even though, for example, from the ascendant, some big event might be happening, like changing of place of living, but from the moon, it's shown that, for example, you will be having a quarrel with a friend. For you, this will be a way bigger deal, because emotionally this feels much stronger for you, this quarrel with a friend, for example, than the relocation that's happening. But from the ascendant, it shows the specific things that are happening in your life in a tangible way, because the ascendant is the material body and what is happening to us on our path in that material body. And the sun sign is what most of the people only check, and but that's pop astrology. But still, the sun sign is very important. The sun sign is our willpower, our goals. It's our ability to channel divine intelligence. And the sun sign will show us, looking at the prognosis from the sun sign, will show us especially the things that we are striving towards to achieve consciously. And the prognosis for the sun sign, we tend to have more free will over that prediction, what you're going to read, because the sun is connected to free will, while the moon symbolizes the past. These are things that often happen. The prediction from the moon are encoded from the past, while from the ascendant sign, it's sealed in stone, so to speak, So yes, checking the sun sign is very important, especially because you can direct the events there more with your free will. The moon sign, you feel like it's more fated and it affects your feelings the most and your personal life. And the ascendant sign is the most tangible event. So I would advise start with the ascendant sign and progress. And for you to know, though, a lot of people don't know, the sun sign is the one that everyone speaks about. You know, like, oh, what are you? I'm an Aries. It means I'm born from March the 20th to April 20th, something like that. But and I can give you predictions for, oh, if you're born from March 1st to March 5th, this and this will be happening for you. But every year they change, the sun moves into a different sign a day before or after, and I want to be way more precise for you. So instead of giving you days, we're gonna find the degrees of your sun, the degrees of your moon, and the degrees of your ascendant signs. And for some of you, the moon and the ascendant might be the same, or the sun and the moon. Rarely, but it happens. So for you to find this out, I want you to, and I'm going to share my screen with you. Let me just. Here it is. Share. So I hope you see it. Go to my birth website, astrolada.com. You see it here. And go to the birth chart and transits. Or if you have any other astrology calculator, I don't mind as long as it gives you the information that I'm going to show. So here I'm going to put a fictitious person, let's say whatever name. Write your name. So you're born in August the 6th, 1972, for example, at 8 a.m. Or make sure that if you're born later, you check if it's 8 p.m., 20, And it's important for your correct ascendant and for the degree, in particular for the ascendant and the direct degree of the moon, the correct sign and degree of the moon, for you to know your minute of birth. If you don't know it within 15, 20 minutes, the degree of the ascendant might be 3 or 4 degrees off, but the moon degree would usually be correct. But say you're born 8/17, and say you're born in the USA, and you're born in New York, and you have the drop-down menu. Which New York are you born in? Well, there are many New Yorks, say New York Hospital, whatever. And continue, press continue. And then you're gonna get this chart, and I want you to scroll down, you see, not here, but here inside. And you're gonna see this, which shows planetary details. And I want you to, there is abbreviation of ascendant, sun, and moon. This is the only work you have to do. After that, just listen and enjoy and wait to hear your degrees. I'll be speaking generally about each sign, but especially when I mention the degree of the sign that you have. This is when things are going to, you're going to feel them so intensely. So this person, for example, has ascendant, which means your rising sign is the same. Ascendant, rising means the same. The physical body, it is at 20 degrees Aquarius. I want you to write just the first degree. The second one is not so important. This is 28 minutes. This is very minimal. So 20 degrees, write down on a piece of paper, Aquarius 20 degrees. You have to watch the video for Aquarius. And every time I mention Aquarians born, say, from 17 to 21 degrees, and you're 20, they'll experience this in particular this year. And you should be like, okay, this is very specific for you. It's gonna manifest. You're gonna feel it. Then write down your sun sign. This person, for example, has sun at 14 degrees Leo. And the moon sign. The moon sign for this person is at 16 degrees Cancer. So if you've bought, for example, if your sun is in Leo, make sure that you know the degree for your sun. So in this case, this is the sign. The sun is the sign everyone knows. I'm a Leo, I'm a Virgo, So, but make sure you check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your sun. Check the degree of your ascendant or moon, whichever one you're waiting. And then, so for example, if you have the all 15 videos, this person has to check the video for Aquarius, Leo, and Cancer. So I hope it's not too complicated. It's actually quite simple. You can watch the video a few times to understand what it means. But now know the degree. Write it down, have it on a piece of paper, and whatever you're listening to, if it's your moon sign that you're listening, knowing the degree, when you hear your moon degree, you're like, ting, that's specific for me. For the ascendant sign, overall, the whole prediction is very correct. While for the sun and moon sign, again, you would feel it maybe to a lesser degree, but especially when I mention your sun or moon degree, this is going to, it's happening. Whatever I talk about, it's happening. You feel it strongly. It's going to be so important for you that year. So, with that introduction, thank you so much. And we're going to start with the signs one by one. Leo 2019. Well, I have good news for you, Leos. This year, one of the signs this year that benefits the most, because some of the more difficult influences are removed immediately from access to your sign, like Pluto, Uranus, Saturn. They're not making direct aspects to the sign Leo. And these are the planets that either delay things, block them, or, Pluto can totally transform death and rebirth. Uranus, sudden changes. Well, actually, Uranus is one of the planets that is affecting some of you. Neptune is staying out of the picture, but the most powerful player for you this year and the influence that you feel the most this year is the Jupiter influence. And I'm starting with it because it's directly sending a very beneficial, it's 100% strong aspect to do good from your fifth house. So that's the strongest, I would say, for everyone transit this year. Yes, there's Saturn as well, and the other planets, we'll talk about them, but this is the one that is making the strongest influence in your life, Jupiter, and it's making an influence on your fifth house. It's going to be in your fifth house. And that's the house that's naturally very Leo related. It's the house of self expression, of getting in touch with your true gifts and talents, and spreading your wings and discovering, exploring those talents. And Jupiter will increase that. Jupiter will give you clarity and understanding about some great talent that you have and will help you unfold it. Natural talent, something that, what is a natural talent? Something that we're good at doing and that we enjoy so much doing that it's like we get lost while you're doing it. We get lost in it. It doesn't feel like something we have to develop. It's like when we do a hobby and we really love it, and like when a child is playing and is so intrigued and into the game, it doesn't, it's game, and it's the same thing with the fifth house. The fifth house is those inborn natural gifts that we have, and we'll unfold them. I'm also one of you, Leos. My moon is there, and we'll unfold those gifts. So we'll get in touch with the joy of life again. And the fifth house naturally rules children, so when Jupiter transits there, it makes us, and it awakens our inner child. It makes us become more joyful and excited about life, like little children do. And actually, for the past 2-3 years, almost, 3 years, Saturn was, for excepting last year, but before that, Saturn was in your fifth house, so maybe you still have a bit of a taste from that. And it was kind of a bit dampening on our creativity, on our ability to enjoy life, to have fun. Maybe there were some outer restrictions. Having fun in the way that we used to, and and unfolding our creativity and our natural talents. But now this is all gonna get lit up by Jupiter till around December 2019. So the whole 2019 you're gonna feel this influence, maybe not constantly, but when you watch this video again next year, and I always recommend you do that, watch those yearly videos at the end of the year to kind of, check your astronomical clock and how to see how amazing astrology is, and to see that there is a higher plan for everyone, that things don't happen by chance, and to also see that you still, despite of that, have free will and you can direct events. Even if I say some scary things and say this is what can happen, you see that you were able to manifest it on a much lighter and positive level within similar life themes, but it would have been, for many times it's much easier and positive, or much more rewarding than you expect. All right, so Jupiter in the fifth house is expanding our creativity, is expanding our ability to channel divine intelligence. This is the fifth house, to be connecting your intelligence to divine intelligence. And a person starts looking more bright and even more intelligent, because the fifth house is natural house of intelligence, the house of the sun, and Jupiter transits there, and we'll be able to demonstrate our intelligence in a non-obnoxious ways. Let's say that, because Jupiter does it always in benevolent ways, and we know that anyone who has Leo, especially Leo sun, might over blind others by demonstrations of their intelligence, and their uniqueness. But now Jupiter will give us more than enough opportunities to demonstrate our intelligence, our uniqueness, our creativity, how special we are. But we'll do it in a way that others appreciate, and we'll do it in a way that makes us look good in the eyes of others. And it will increase our own celebrity aura. And if you are someone who is trying to become famous, or who is in any kind of careers at a performance or center stage, where you're, on performance art or on a stage, or you might be a politician that you're speaking in front of large groups of people, but you are the center focus of others' attention. This is the fifth house. Or if you're in fashion as well, and any kind of career that includes celebrations and entertainment and glamorous events, and mixing up with elite people, or kind of like the chosen, the cool, the not the cool, but the celebrity type of crowd. I mean, you might be from a small town, and there are a few people that are like celebrity in your town, that are known, well known. Well, you can have access to such circles now. Jupiter will open this access, so you yourself can generate this excitement, this kind of a charisma, by expressing yourself, your interesting ideas. You can become like a bright center towards which others are attracted like moths to a light. Moths to a light. So you become this bright center of creative ideas, of more joy, of more self-expression, of originality, of individuality, and of even being more fun and entertaining generally now. And others are drawn into you. And again, if you're in performance arts or something, now you're going to have opportunities to shine. If you want to become more famous, now Jupiter can bring you those opportunities as well, by demonstrating your intelligence, by demonstrating a benevolent kind of side of yourself as well, a very creative one. And I remember when Jupiter was transiting my fifth house from the ascendant, this is when I started feeling for the first time a bit like a celebrity, because people were writing to me from around the world, and Lada, your videos are so original. I started experimenting a lot with the creative things that I was doing in my business. So I put a personal touch. I started putting, green screens with very interesting backdrops, so going around the world and shooting. That's using creativity, for whatever work you're doing. Even though mine is presenting information, but Jupiter allows you to put this personal touch, this creative touch, and this ingenious idea to improve your business or your work in some way, to make it look more unique, to give it a personal touch, to give it to make it more appealing and entertaining and attractive, because this is what the fifth house is, to show off it, to make it much more excitable, just like we're all excited about the life of celebrities. So you can make others more excited about whatever you're doing while Jupiter is transiting your fifth house, by incorporating those new ideas and these new ingenious creative ways of expressing yourself, or the business, or whatever. And I was like kind of so bummed, because I was so proud of always being very original with my work, which is fifth house, and because Jupiter is naturally influencing my fifth house. But in the last 2.5, 3 years, Saturn was transiting the fifth house from the moon, of course, my moon is in Leo, and if you're Leo sun, moon, or ascendant, you've noticed that it kind of restricted your creativity, either from outer circumstances or because of other limitations or restrictions. It must have restricted your ability to have fun or ability to express yourself in unique and original ways in some way, to make inventions, almost like the original inventions of any sort, so putting your personal mark on things because of the Saturnian influence in our fifth house. And now Jupiter comes and it's going to revive again this side of us. So it might be a fantastic time to develop creatively, to start using original new methods. You're going to have some great new ideas. The fifth house, it connects you to higher intelligence, divine intelligence, and you start channeling it, unless by birth you have a more difficult planet like Saturn or the South Node, or that is kind of more either disinterested or blocks it, but still it will uplift that. So you can, for example, make something much more generate a lot more excitement around an idea of yours or around a business of yours, by adding some original elements, by making it more creative, but making it more glamorous, which is what the fifth house is. And actually, you're going to have a lot of fun and joy playing with those things. You're going to have a lot of fun, just like a child playing with, and it's not like when Jupiter trines the fifth house, the new things we try and the new ideas we have, it's not like we're scared from them. And it's not like we're like, is it going to work? I'm so worried. How is it going to be accepted? No, because Jupiter, you do it out of joy, out of inspiration. And you don't even really care what others will say. And that's how you feel. You'll get some new idea and you'll be like, oh, I'm excited to test it, to see how it works. And that's going to be usually those ideas that you get there divinely channeled to you, or like your higher self is trying to give you direction to the right path, because the fifth house together with the first and the ninth, which Jupiter is also beneficially aspecting in 2019, because it's 120-degree aspects are just as powerful, almost as powerful as the transit through the sign. So your first house, your fifth, and the ninth are being activated by Jupiter, and these are the houses of Dharma. Dharma means doing the right action, which means that each soul has a goal before a plan for itself, and only when it follows this plan, say for example your Dharma is to be a doctor, or your Dharma is to be a speaker, and if you're doing something else, the spark from your life is missing. You might be very successful, or if you are with a partner that is not the dharmic one for you, but maybe a karmic one that you have to learn some lesson through them, it's the spark and the joy of the experience is missing. So basically, only when we start doing the things we're meant to do, and the people, and being with the people we're meant to be with, and then we're walking this dharmic path. And even if it's something way more harder, or even if it's a partner way less glamorous or way less good on paper compared to other partners, if this is the right one, this is when we feel joyful. And Jupiter, when is in dharmic houses or aspects them, realigns our path, so opens our eyes towards what is the dharmic thing for us in our life. And in particular, in your case, what is your dharmic gifts? What is your natural things that you really enjoy doing, your natural talent through which you can self-express yourself, so it leads you on a path, those natural talents through which you can shine, and through which you can, that you actually, talents that you've developed in past lifetimes, because the fifth house is the house of past lifetimes, things that the good karma from past lifetimes. So Jupiter unlocks it, so it can unlock the great gift for you, it can unlock the great ability that you are not aware of. This is when I became very aware of my ability to when Jupiter transited my fifth house, to talk interestingly and engagingly, because I have Gemini there, and communications, and I mean from the ascendant, that's looking from the ascendant. But you will become intrinsically aware about some natural gift that you have, and you'll start developing it. It will bring you more joy, more confidence. Your confidence will increase, but in a natural way, not in a sometimes we kind of overcompensate with bravado and stuff like that, like it's natural, it's true confidence that's coming into you guys. And on another level as well, it can mean that you're gonna have you can create things this year and they manifest and it happens easy, and you can create things that are original, that are new, and creative people will have a blast. If you've had some creative blockage, it disappears, it start coming those new ideas, as I said. On another level, if you're trying to complete something like a book or whatever, or now will be the time where it's happening, and the fifth house is also, of course, romance. And this means that there will be more romance in your life, guys, now, in our life. There will be the possibility for more romance. If that was lacking, because for the past 2-3 years before this year, Saturn was transiting the fifth house, so maybe because of duties, responsibilities, you could not be as romantic, or there was something, dampening the possibility or blocking it, or maybe there was some disappointment in love, or maybe because of other outer circumstances, Well, now Jupiter will heal that, and Jupiter will bring new opportunities to expand your romantic side, to revel on it. Some very pleasant romantic experiences with partners, some very good dates can materialize. Actually, Jupiter transiting the fifth house, for me, a few years ago, gave an engagement, taking a relationship from one level to another one. Or you can fall in love with someone. This is a very known transit that stimulates the heart chakra. The fifth house is the heart chakra, the fifth house from the ascendant in particular, but to a less degree from the moon and the sun. And this heart chakra, when stimulated, it opens up, because Jupiter has the influence and the energies of spring. It's wet and moist like spring. So something like the chakra of the heart opens up when Jupiter influences the fifth house. And when you open your heart chakra, this is when you attract happy, positive, more dharmic love relationships of some sort. If you're already in a relationship, Jupiter can create like a spring phase of your romantic relationship, for example. So, there's many good things to look forward to, and usually it brings romantic partners that are easygoing, that are joyful, that are understanding as well, that open up that are well educated, well learned, or open up our perspective and worldview as well. So, and especially who's going to feel this the most? If you have Sun, Moon, or Ascendant in Leo from 14 till 25 degrees, this is the people who should expect the most visible results and the most lasting, because it means Jupiter does this aspect exactly to the degree of the Sun, Moon, or Ascendant 3 times. So if you from 14 till 25 degrees, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, I'm there. There is a expansion of your heart, expansion of your joy from life, expansion of the ability and many opportunities to enjoy yourself, to have fun, to do something creative, to have more romantic experiences, even possibility for for getting pregnant. Sorry. That's great. Whoever wants, possibility for, because fifth house is very fruit. It's creation. It's the house of creation, and Jupiter is the very fertile planet, so it can create that as well. There can be opportunities as well for celebrity, increasing celebrity, opportunity for discovering your true talents and things that you really revel in and enjoy, discovering some sport or hobby that you enjoy that's going to make your life more meaningful and more enjoyable at the same time, and more joyful. There can be good things that comes to you through children, but for everyone that is Leo, they feel this Jupiter in your fifth house, but those degrees is just, let's say, double the influence. But so if you're those degrees, absolutely this should manifest in certain ways. But it takes the whole year for you to see the results, and especially when Jupiter goes retrograde, you might feel like, oh, this has stopped, and Jupiter goes retrograde from April to August. So in this period, you might feel like those things have slowed down a bit, but they're just being integrated, implanted, so you can understand them more, and they pick up again. So you might feel like some creative project has slowed down, or the fulfillment of some creative project has slowed down, or the development of some romantic relationship has slowed down, or but it's gonna pick up again from August. And also, if you have children already, they can be a source of help, joy, positive experiences. Something good can happen in the life, especially of your firstborn child. This is the fifth house. Um, and they can be some expansion and growth, or some good educational opportunities or travel opportunities to expand their knowledge, to give new opportunities in the life of your children. What else? Fifth house. What else? If you're a politician, you can have big success. If you're someone in center stage, I think I mentioned almost everything. Increasing your popularity, your joy, having more fun. That's generally about it again. Yeah, isn't it lovely? And by the way, if you're from those degrees 14 till 25 degrees, sun first, let's see if the sun is there. You can have great opportunities in regards to your career. They would happen easy. Someone can help you, give a hand, because the sun represents your careers, your goals, uh, your vision for your life and the kingdom you want to create. So it will help you get closer to fulfilling some vision for yourself. Maybe a male figure can help. And in your regards, there can be some promotion or expansion of your career, or career projects of some sort as well. And also males, something good can happen in the life of important males, like a father figure or your husband, or maybe it can represent like some new male entering your life that is a good beneficial influence that contributes in some way. Or you can just generally feel more optimistic, more positive, more naturally confident, and you feel like you're in the flow. If it's your moon from those degrees, it can indicate some very good things happening in your personal, private life. Um, Something positive happening in regards to property or home, in regards to finding the right place to live, or in regards to receiving more joy in your family life, or as a parent, support in your parenthood, release of some of the parenthood duties, and like ease, and starting to appreciate that role more. It feels like I'm doing the horoscope for myself. Or something good can happen to you through other women, or through mom. A mom can be big support for you. Something good can happen in her life, for example. Or with properties and such things. And if it's your ascendant in those degrees, generally everything that I talked about, the fifth house, definitely you feel it. But just things will be happening easier. You feel like you're in the right place at the right time. You feel like you're more aligned, that there are more opportunities for you, and you would feel excited to try them out, and romantically and all those things as well. Now we also have Saturn, guys. Oh, let's put it like that. And it's in your sixth house. And it's been in your sixth house already 1 year, and it has another year and a half to be there. So some of you have started feeling the influence of Saturn in the sixth house. Well, it brings more daily responsibilities and duties, a lot of routine, a lot of repetitive routines. And thankfully, Jupiter will balance now this out, because it feels like it's been first Saturn transiting the fifth house. Before, which was about kind of blocking the access to joy, to fun, to uh, being playful, and even the romantic side. And then Saturn moving to the sixth house of work, and Saturn has already energy in the last 1 year, 2018, the energy of duties and responsibilities, and it feels like, ew, it's well, it's not a bad thing. You've probably done a lot of work, a lot of hard work you've been doing, and Saturn will maintain, though, will make sure that you have a lot more duties, a lot of more responsibilities, the need for a lot of routinized action, but now you already will be able to have some fun as well. You'll be able to start feeling a bit more joy and excitement from life. But the duties and responsibilities on a daily level are staying. They're still very heavy, and they're still quite demanding, and they're quite routinized, and you can't it might be hard to break away from that routine. But it's Saturn transiting the sixth house is teaching you to be orderly, to be very responsible with your duties and responsibilities, and especially with your work as well. And usually it brings a heavier workload, and you probably felt it, or a lot of kind of servant responsibilities and duties. Maybe you're having to clean too much at home, or to do the dirty job at your job, or maybe they downsized your company and gave you twice as much work, but maybe not the promotion, and you're doing the dirty work and twice as much. Well, there is still some of that, but now coupled with opportunities to have fun, to do something creative, to become more center stage and more recognized as well, and to do something more creative and original rather than just those routine jobs. But they continue, guys. And Saturn transiting the sixth house can sometimes correspond to taking care of those in need, because Saturn is heavy responsibility. Sixth house is those that are the weaker, the poorer, the sick, the ill. So there might be some responsibility. Maybe it started already, or maybe it will start now, towards such person or such group of people in a less than in less harmonious circumstances, that you have responsibility towards them. And if you're in any career that is like service career, that is like ministries of service or social care, that is to do with being a doctor in the medical field, having clients with health problems, having clients with marital problems, trying to resolve some conflict, like being in army, uh, or being in some kind of a like litigation, because sixth house is the house of where there is lack of balance, and when there is disturbed, where there is unfair and equal, or there is discord, lack of agreement. So again, people, that's maybe a divorce lawyer or broken contract lawyer or something like that, or you might have heavier responsibilities than other times. And it's not going to be easy, because Saturn makes you work very hard, and the South Node is there as well. And South Node makes you feel like, I'm so disinterested in that, I don't want to do it. But Saturn says, no, 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 you have to do it. There are still responsibilities and still a lot of hard work. So if you're a doctor as well, there is a much heavier workload, many patients with chronic conditions that can come to you as well. If you're working with anyone, if you're working someone who it's like, even if you're an astrologer or some kind of a, who to whom people come who are in disbalance, who are in stress life situations, you'd see that there is a lot more of those cases now, because Saturn gives heavier and heavier responsibilities, and you'd see a lot of people locked in almost like a chronic state of disbalance and disharmony in their life. And it will be impossible to fix that chronic state of them, but it's possible to manage it, and it's possible to regulate and help them regulate those states if you're in any of the helping professions, which is the sixth house professions. So you'll see a lot more heavier duties and responsibilities, whether it's military, whether it's litigation, whether it's even people like us, like astrologers, or whether it's just some people coming in a chronic state of some imbalance or distress, or victimhood of some sort. And you'll be able to, Saturn is a very tough planet, so you have more responsibilities with such people, but at the same time you're able to keep and regulate their states, and you're able to kind of manage those situations with less with more detachment. And to be honest, even your own Saturn transiting the sixth house really helps a person overcome their own state of victimhood. Someone who is like, if you have certain area of your life where you feel like you're a victim, like it might be your health, or it might be that you feel that you're attacked by enemies or adversaries, or some situation is unfair, and some situation really sucks in your life, and you're blaming someone else or something. Now Saturn, this 2.5 stay of Saturn in your sixth house, which continues for another year and a half, will help you, and not help you, it's a slow process, but by the end of this period, you'd realize that you've trimmed that this kind of behaviors, because Saturn restricts it, this kind of victimhood behaviors, this complaining, whining behaviors. This is the sixth house, accusatory, complaining, whining. Oh, poor me, I'm a victim. Or, and it's Saturn helps you do in a much no nonsense, practical way. You say, okay, there's shit stuff. There are always shit stuff in life, but you stop thinking you stop thinking that you're a victim anymore, and you become very realistic about it. Then you accept it. Saturn gives acceptance and detachment from an issue. And yes, there are a lot of unfair things in life. There are a lot of uh, people born unequal and unfair. There's a lot of things that really suck, but you develop kind of a very stoic attitude. Saturn is stoic. I don't know if you know the word stoic, what it means, but it's like it accepts and it perseveres and knows, yes, those, and it's very practical attitude. Yes, there are problems. They cannot be, this is the attitude you have to develop. Yes, there are problems. I cannot solve all the problems. Yes, I might be locked in a longer time in a problem, because Saturn can lock you in a certain problem longer than necessary, because it's passing through the sixth house and it wants to slow down that problem so you can work very deep in it. It might be a health problem often, or it might be a kind of a chronic addiction of some sort, and you really want to change when Saturn transits the sixth house. You become very aware of that chronic problem. It might be some chronic adversary, some chronic state of blaming or accusation, some chronic state of inequality or balance, some chronic state of health issue or addiction. Again, this rules that. And Saturn slows the resolution of that problem. It is the sixth house. It's Saturn after all. It frame freezes it, so you can really look more in depth of it. So you can really, and you might have to try a few times over and over until you resolve it. And usually by the end of those 2.5 years, so by sometime in 2020, this long-standing problem, chronic problem, health or discord or disbalance, or even a marriage in a state of discord, because sixth house rules divorce, is the dissolution of agreement of marriage. So Saturn will freeze the divorce, very likely will slow down the dissolution of a marriage even. So you can see the problem. What is the underlying problem? This is the sixth house, this problem. So you can think about it deeply, so you can look at it frame by frame, so you can try it a few times, maybe correct it or keep it in a state of manage it, learn how to manage conflict and problems better. Saturn is a manager, it's not a problem solver. It's manager and regulator, and it requires a lot of reiteration over and over. But at the end of this process, by the time Saturn moves out of your sixth house, you can resolve some really long-standing issue. And 2019, this process is very deep for many of you. Again, you might feel like it's the healing from some health problem is going slow, with many failures and trying to start over again. But at the end, you will be able, because Saturn in its own sign finally will manifest good results. So you will be able to come out of some chronic state of disbalance. But you might feel like the big struggle and the big slow process of transformation was happening when Saturn was transiting your sixth house. And also sixth house rules debt in ancient astrology. So it might be slow going for resolving some debt, with a lot of efforts and having to work very hard for that. But eventually Saturn can help you regulate, manage better a debt, of course, with personal application. Also, some chronic health problems, as I said, you can become very aware about it. And I'm talking about addictions as well of any sort. But again, Saturn gives self-disciplines to regulate that. You can't fully remove it usually. You can regulate it and you can decrease it. Saturn is about decreasing, about keeping it within manageable bounds. And I believe that I've seen it very often, when Saturn moves out the sixth house, this issue disappears after that, because you have to try very hard with self discipline, with reiteration, with trying hard with your willpower and over to show to the gods, or to the universe, or to your higher self that you're really trying hard to manage that issue, that conflict, that accusation, that debt, that poverty situation, sixth house rules, all that things, that health issue. And when you and to start introducing self-restricting behaviors, because Saturn is about self-restriction, which restricts you from too much criticism or too much, adversarial behaviors, or restricts you from too much food or something that's affecting your health, or restricting behaviors with some addiction. And once you show that, once Saturn moves out from your sixth house, usually the resolution comes, because you've proven yourself, you've proven that you're dedicated. And usually when Saturn is in one's sixth house, this is when one does the groundwork of being released and changing their routines and health habits for a lifetime ahead. So usually by the time Saturn moves out of there, this is when the hard work was done and it's manifested new, more realistic, more practical, more streamlined health practices, work practices as well. Also Saturn transiting the sixth house, it increases the workload and the duties. But it's only because Saturn wants to teach you to be more organized and to find what is the most important and clip away the other trivialities and other duties and responsibilities which were overwhelming your time. Say, for example, writing 100 emails a day to 100 clients, while you can find out a way that you streamline, for example, and you can answer only clients from certain accounts personally, and others are more automatic, or just choose that you're going to work just with way less people, because sixth house is your work, and Saturn wants to streamline it. Saturn wants to downsize it, but in a way that you become more efficient, so you can do more in less time. And that's why Saturn first increases the workload, so you can kind of sort out your priorities. What is my priority for my work? Am I going to be making every day 10 videos like crazy, and then neglect my clients? Or am I going to focus on my clients and make one video per week, for example? So you're restructuring, you're reorganizing your work processes, your duties and responsibilities processes. So just the things of strongest priority and the ones that are most important, that you prioritize them. So you focus on the essentials in regards to your work, because when there is such overwhelming of duties and responsibilities, and you've been feeling it, you kind of you either become workaholic and it affects your health, because Saturn in the sixth house will do this if you overwork yourself, or you find a way to streamline it, restructure it. And often Saturn in the sixth house, if you're an employee somewhere, will bring you changes in the structure of the work, and it can, for example, indicate that you get if you're unhappy and you feel it can indicate much more demanding circumstances of your work. And if you're dissatisfied, and you can feel like a slave almost when Saturn transits the sixth house, even if it's your own business, you can feel like that. And if you're very dissatisfied, if it's your own business, Saturn tells you, okay, you have to cut out this unnecessary workload or whatever, or change the way you do it. Or if you work for someone, you might decide to change your job, and it might be a slower process. Again, Saturn slows everything, and plus the South Node is there with Saturn in your sixth house in 2019. So it's going to be about endings of some sort, about releasing certain duties, responsibilities, routines, or releasing also certain employment or place that you're working in. And having said that, it's again ultimately for your good, for your final good. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Also, if you have employees, this is the sixth house. It can give you heavy responsibilities with employees, or employees that have a lot of problems, people that you're managing, or people that work for you, like staff, or people that you hire to do something in your house. This is all sixth house people, so they can become more of a heavy you can feel more dissatisfied, so you have to change something there, you have to restructure the employees or the rules there, or you can just be very busy with trying to manage and help them with the issues, and or there can be some adversarial conditions that are happening between you and employees or workmates of some sort, because Saturn can increase that, definitely. Can increase the dissatisfaction, the accusatory feelings. But again, it's doing it, and also at the same time, you're having the ability to handle that better. You're having the ability to handle this accusatory and problematic situations with employees or at work and workmates with more objectivity and detachment, and not to take it so personally, and to be more efficient. You can't fix their problems, but they will be present there. And because Saturn wants to teach you a practical, detached approach towards such things without making a drama about them every time. And so it is about, and usually if you have enemies, this is also your sixth house. Well, Saturn neither makes you win nor lose over them. It usually maintains that adversarial situation in some way. But in a detached way, again, and through sheer perseverance, by the time Saturn comes out of your sixth house, sheer perseverance and endurance, and that you kept it cool and calm, this is why you get ahead of them. So some adversaries, like the hare and the tortoise or turtle story, someone you're competing with, someone is your adversary. Because you're non-reactive, Saturn helps you become detached. Saturn makes you become cool towards such a situation. Keep your head cool and carry on with your plans and your stuff. You're just gonna outlast your adversaries because of your perseverance, so to speak. If you're in some kind of a litigation or court case of accusation, it can get drawn out again. Saturn um, delays it in your sixth house, but again through sheer perseverance, because you keep up with that, and because you keep your head cool. Again, you're gonna outlast possibly your adversary. All right. Oh, so many things. What else is the sixth house? Debt. Saturn can give you certain debts, or having to manage certain debts and regulate them better. But we talked about that. But for work, usually it's good because you can get a lot of things done. You can get much more organized generally in your life, much more. Uh, yes, there are a lot of duties and routines, things that are kind of boring, like Saturn wants you to introduce extra responsibilities with taking care of your health, so with restricting your diet, with all those things. The sixth house wants you to take some restriction in regards to and some Saturn is the planet that wants to organize and put order. So it might be just that even Saturn is now teaching you to fold your clothes and to make up your bed and to be consistent in daily routines and to have more order and cleanliness around you. And Saturn can do it in heavy-handed approach, through dissatisfaction or through some outer pressure. But ultimately, it's great when you're more organized, when you're more efficient in your work, when you learn to notice what is the essentials and trim the unessentials as well. And again, if you're employed for someone, you might want to change employment, or it might teach you to be much more hardworking and responsible, can make you even workaholic a little bit there. As I said, some chronic diseases can deepen when Saturn is in the sixth house, especially diseases connected to stiffening and hardening and cooling off of something. But again, I'm not a medical astrologer, I can't say. And the only solution for this is some restriction, some self-disciplination to certain exercises, or some restriction of the things that we ingest that can be the reason for that chronic health. And the solution to chronic health problems comes slowly and through personal efforts. If you put personal efforts, by the end of the transit, you will manifest very good results of having learned to manage that condition. Okay, all right, let's see. We're going to have also Rahu and Ketu. Rahu is going to be in your 12th house, and Ketu is in the 6th here with Saturn. So indeed, Ketu can make you let go, because Ketu is release of some kind of a bad habit, while Saturn is a bit slowing down the results. If it was just Ketu in your sixth house, you'd be like, you get so disinterested in some addiction or self-medicating behavior, or in some problem that you resolve it out of its own, or some adversary. Ketu just makes you like stop caring about it, and it disappears. But Saturn is there. It slows the solution of those things. But you will be. This is a period of some very important changes in 2019 in regards to your health. You see, releasing some bad habits, releasing some adversaries, or at least learning to detach yourself and to let go of them. And something to do with that, something to do with some work environment, and outdated routines and habits of yourself as well. There's release and letting go of that. Rahu in your 12th house. Wherever Rahu goes, and this happens for Rahu in your 12th house just once in 18 years. So it's a rare, and Ketu in your 6th house. It's rare, and it's some life-changing things that are happening there. Well, Ketu in our 12th house, Rahu, wherever Rahu goes, we get very passionate about it. It's like all our psychic energy is focused there. Yes, we're gonna have working responsibilities, but we're gonna be kind of detached towards them, because Ketu is then we'll be like, I don't want to do that, but I'll do it anyway. Okay. But what we really get excited about is this Rahu in the 12th house, and it's like about spirituality. You get passionate, excited about having your own time alone, the 12th house, about escaping from the worldly duties and responsibilities. They're there, you can't escape them. Unfortunately, Saturn is there. You can't neglect that. You have to work on health. You have to work on introducing slowly and gradually, or managing and controlling those things, and work and ordering yourself. But your true passion lies in private activities. And in the 12th house rules also the bedroom, or bedroom activities. So you can get very passionate about some private, undisclosed relationships, for example. You know, or you can get, I've seen this happen, or you can get very passionate about some private liaison that is more hidden, or some behind the scene dealings, the 12 houses, some dealings that are behind the back of your business partners, because the 12th house is the sixth from the seventh. The seventh is your official marriage partner, girlfriend, boyfriend, or your official relationships, business, personal relationships, and clients. And the 12 is those that are hidden, that are enemies of those, basically. So what I'm trying to say, that someone can appear, someone exotic, exciting, that offers you some kind of a private, working behind the scene deal. It doesn't need to be immoral. It's not necessary that you're cheating on your marriage. This is one of the manifestation that can happen, but you need to have it already in your horoscope as inclination for that. Otherwise, it's not gonna be. Otherwise, it can mean like some private relationship that is not known to the whole world, and that is not visible, or it's not necessarily sexual either. It might be like uh, just private friendship of some sort, or some kind of private business deal that you're doing behind the scenes that you get excited about. And Rahu can get you excited about foreign countries, and actually it can give you success, because wherever Rahu goes, it gives sudden success. Very likely through ventures in foreign countries, whether it's in investments in foreign countries, or some dealings far away from where you are. Again, it's a bit private and hidden, because it's not in your immediate environment where people are able to see what's happening. It's some dealings or investments or business, or relationships that you're leading from distance, so to speak. So it can bring those such exciting elements for you, that actually this is where all your passion is, despite of you having to do those other six house things. And also it can mean that you get very passionate about developing meditation techniques or spiritual techniques for connecting with the astral and invisible worlds. If you have inclinations and ability for that, some of you might be able to travel astrally, because when Rahu transits the 12th house, it thins the veil between the material and the astral and the higher worlds. Because Rahu has a penetrating influence, so you can penetrate into, due to strong desire, into those invisible realms. So they can be astral travel, or they can be They can be communications with departed people, with the invisible entities. Actually, some of the most interesting relationships for you can be with and communications with entities from invisible realms. And you can even kind of yeah, it's like it's especially people who are watching those videos, they already have interest towards such matters, and these things are more possible for them. And also the 12th house is the past lifetimes. You can get fascinated with past lifetimes, and you can start receiving sudden information and insights about those things through Rahu transiting your 12th house. Or let's see, on the material level, the 12th house rules hotels, sanctuaries, faraway places, foreign holidays. Well, Rahu can manifest all of those things. And because I've even seen people that have never traveled abroad, when Rahu transits the 12th house, they have a chance to do it and manifest it. Or if you're in business industry, for example, it can be very successful period. Or if you're in organizing retreats or sanctuaries, or organizing meditations or spas or ashram, or travels to foreign places, or if you have business that is being dealt with somewhere in a foreign country, well, then you can have a sudden rise to success, because Rahu gives this material sudden rise manifestations and fast developments. So hotel, retreat, all of those. Meditation, you can have a sudden rise into popularity through becoming a meditation teacher or something like that, or spiritual guide. People that are in spiritual professions of any sort, Rahu really can create big visibility all of a sudden for them. Or big development and jump forward, basically, in such kind of spiritual guidance, 12th house careers, or if you're in any career that is connected with the imagination. Wow, Rahu makes the imagination wild when it transits the 12th house. You're gonna start seeing, you're gonna sleep and you're gonna dream vividly. You're gonna see, you're gonna start seeing and even receiving messages, as I said, from exotic entities from invisible realms, in your dreams or intuitively in some way, but vivid dreamings in many ways. Vivid, and you can get fascination with dream interpretation, with meaning, with research. Oh, fantastic time to research vividly and excitedly something behind the scenes. But yes, the imagination becomes really kind of intense and powerful, but sometimes as well, Rahu can be too, and they can be very intense sexual passions, because Rahu is sexual, is desirous. So there can be a lot of in your imagination, like dirty imagination, and even dreaming and imagining taboo, forbidden things, that happens as well. And just one thing to warn you, Rahu can entice you, like entities that are not fully truthful can communicate through you and send you sometimes misleading um, answer or communications, because Rahu is a trickster. In Vedic astrology, it's known that it tricked the gods in order to receive immortality, but it became a god and immortal, and it gives sudden rise. And if an entity, if you receive information through guides, through psychics, astrologers, it can be information that helps you to give sudden rise, but they can be something that kind of pulls you towards acting a bit more immorally, or to be less cautious in certain ways. So you have to be a bit more cautious. Also, there can be some foreign people that enter your life. The 12th house is for faraway places. Rahu is foreign, that are very fascinating. They're exotic. They look, you can feel very drawn and excited about them. And fascinated, but there might be something trickery about them, so you have to be careful. And there might be something that is less, they present themselves for one thing, but they might not be that. So be careful. The results of usually Rahu always gives some beneficial results, but mixed with the inclination to do something less moral or something behind the scenes, especially in the 12th house. All right. So let's see what other things are happening here. Well, Neptune is not making any major aspects to planets in Leo, unless you have something, for example, Neptune is not going to play a big role unless you have something in the mutable signs like Gemini, say your moon is in Gemini in certain degrees, whatever, so it's not happening. Pluto is in Capricorn, so again, it's transforming very slowly for many years. Your uh, health habits and routines and stuff, but already Saturn is doing that in the south node. Well, what you're gonna feel is Uranus, but only some of you, and that's gonna be from around April. Those of you Leos go from 2 to 7 degrees in Leo, whether it's your sun, moon, or ascendant. Life changing times are coming, Leo. Usually it's through, because Taurus is in your 10th house, through your career, your social status can suddenly change in some unexpected way. If it's your sun, for example, in 2 and that starts from April 2018 till April 2020, your life will change in exciting but also a bit disruptive way, because the aspect is square, and square means that there is pressure on you, and there is uh, it can feel overwhelming. You might not feel fully ready for it, and you have to, it disturbs the rest of your routine, or it disturbs the rest of your how you want things to be. But always Uranus brings something to take you out of a rut, to excite you. So if it's your sun from 2 till 7 degrees, and by the way, if you have the sun or the moon or ascendant from 0 to 2 degrees, this process has already started from the spring of 2018, and it ends in April 2018. But you're already aware of the disruptions and changes and exciting things that are happening. And you've had it a bit tough, let's say, in 2019 because of the Mars opposition. So did those people, 2018, sorry. Those degrees, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant 2 to 7, because they had the Mars retrograde opposition in those degrees. It was like stressful, but those had it the worst. Uh, but again, maybe a lot of good things came out of that, even though it was very stressful. But if you're 0 to 2 degrees till April, new changes, new things are continuing to implant themselves in your life. Maybe a few last surprises happen till then, and after that, things calm down for you guys. You can get a more stable career, or you can get more routine into your life, while Uranus was turning it upside down. But if you're from 2 till 7 degrees, and if your sun is in Leo, those degrees, well, it starts from April onwards. Maybe some, if you're 7 degrees, will feel it towards June, the later degrees. But sudden changes. And the sun usually represents your goals, your career, sudden changes with career, sudden changes with um, direction in life, sudden changes with the vision for your future, sudden changes with important men in your life, father, husband, boss, something that is a bit more disruptive, something that is surprising, but something that is ultimately liberating. When Uranus starts aspecting the sun with a harder aspect, people feel the need to be freer, to be more independent, and it can make you very dissatisfied with some routine job and some job that is not authentic for you, and that and you can feel, even though Saturn is in the 6th house making us keep responsibilities, but Uranus, if you're at those degrees of the sun, you'd feel the Uranus transit way more than the Saturn one, and you'd be like, I want freedom, I want something new, especially in your career, in your development, in your social status, and you can do some extreme actions, or some radical actions. Maybe this is the time for it, actually. And actually, when Uranus is around, you can't really control yourself. It's you That's it. It's a revolution that's happening in your life, and it takes you down with it. um, and it can come through important male or boss figures of some sort as well. But actually, if you're in careers that are Uranian ruled, like astrology, like new technologies, it can it can be something. If you're trying to become independent, a freelancer, start something independently, or something with social media, with new technologies, it can give you a sudden rise. Yes, it will be a bit disruptive because it's a square aspect towards your normal life, but it can suddenly shoot you off, um, but can bring a lot of new exciting things in your life, and can bring a lot of new exciting male figures that come and go, or that stimulate you towards new beginnings in your social status, in your career, and your goals for the future. Maybe in a less smooth way than you'd like, but And if it's your moon in those degrees, 2 to 7, Uranus can disrupt your family life, can bring sudden changes or relocations or uh, sudden changes in relationships with important women in your life or with the mother. It can give sudden changes and which need more, which are not going to be like so easy, but they can be a bit shocking, but again they can lead to something really good. Sudden changes through parenthood, through motherhood, sudden changes in the number of family members in your life. But it can a little bit, because Uranus is intellectual influence. It might not be the best time if it's your moon in those degrees for, it can be like some surprise pregnancy, for example, but it might not. If you're trying to get pregnant, it might create some problems with that, or surprises or unexpected developments. Um, but at the same time, remember that Jupiter is in the fifth house from your moon, if it's your moon in Leo. So only those people with 2 to 7 degrees have to be a bit more careful when it comes to parenthood, when it comes to pregnancy. Others, those who have 2 to 7, something, it might be like unexpected or something like that. But usually Uranus aspecting the moon, some changes in personal, family life, uh, relocations, and depends what house the moon is in. It can be big. It can be changes in hormones as well, because the moon rules the female hormone body. It can be, and sudden ups and downs in hormones. It can be some sudden onset of feelings, extreme feelings, and then cutting off. But also the moon is connected to emotional attachments with others. So if your moon is those degrees, you can have like sudden disconnection from and surprising and cutting off people from your life, or they going or coming, usually as well. And if it's your ascendant, again, relationships can be affected, because if your ascendant is from 2 to 7 degrees in Leo, it's the axis of relationships. For example, I am 2 degrees Leo, and it started from spring, not Leo, Aquarius, but that's the other sign, so it's the same, the opposite sign. So Uranus was squaring my ascendant, and I can tell you that I was like, oh my God, am I going to be divorcing with my husband? Because Uranus is the planet of sudden separations. And I was like, what's going to happen? And indeed, it can separate you. Uranus square sun or moon, or especially ascendant, it can separate you and free you, but it's more like liberate you suddenly from a stagnant relationship or commitment. But in my case, it was business partnership. I just suddenly out of the blue, a few people left. I got, I decided to change the rules of the business, and quite a few people left. So it was like 10 people that I was business partners with were discontinued. So it doesn't have to be on a personal level. Always, it can be in regards to business. So that's about Uranus. What makes life very exciting despite of the difficult aspect. And we have also the eclipses. Well, the eclipses will trigger the topics. I should have talked about them when I was talking about Rahu and Ketu. But there is one specific eclipse that you have to really look for, and that's the January 24th, 21, 21st eclipse, which is happening at 0 to 1 degrees in your sign Leo. So anyone who has sun, moon, or ascendant in the first 0 to 4 degrees, I would say, that's me. Big life changes, and that's a lunar eclipse. That's a lunar eclipse, it's not solar eclipse, and it is with Rahu. So it's gonna give something, but it's gonna, oh no, that's not, that's my 7th house, cause okay. Okay, it's gonna give a new partnership, but that's for Aquarius. For you, it's gonna bring some new beginnings if your sun, moon, or ascendant in those first 4 degrees. So if it's the moon, it can bring suddenly motherhood or sudden a property. For example, the last lunar eclipse, there was an eclipse on my moon. There was 3 eclipses on my moon actually in the last 2.5 years, and they were all with Rahu. The first 2 eclipses brought me motherhood twice, 2 babies, and the third one brought me property. The third one was within 4 degrees from my moon. So Rahu gives you always something. So if it's your moon, around those first 4 degrees, it can give you one of those things: new beginnings with your family, new general direction, and sudden changes in your family relationships, with women, with important people in your life, with parenthood, with family responsibilities. If it's your son, with your career, it can give sudden rise to your career. But watch out for your health. That's my mom's sun degree. And watch out for important men if it's your son, that the eclipse, the lunar eclipse, is happening. Then the lunar eclipse is about seeing results of actions, actually, about seeing the full results of something. And it can be quite empowering, actually. Some powerful new beginning, some powerful empowerment in regards to your career, but as a result of previous actions. So it gives you something. If it's your sun there in those degrees, it can give you a promotion over the next 2-3 months after January 3rd, the 21st, or before that. It can give you sudden rise into power or change of career direction, but as a result of previous actions which take you higher, for example. But always watch out your health, whether it's your moon, your ascendant, or your sun. Don't take risks about that time, because the light of those planets is being eclipsed, and it can indicate that you feel more worrisome, more stressed around that time. But it's because some powerful new beginnings, or some powerful, in this case it's a full moon, it's a lunar eclipse, some powerful important uh, relationship developments are happening, which are affecting your life, and which as a result of past actions that can give you the fruits of your actions as well. But big changes if you're that sun, moon, or ascendant there, with something manifesting and you receiving something, but can be stressful around the time that it's happening. The other eclipses don't affect you directly. The other eclipses are happening in Cancer and in Capricorn. That's your 12th and 6th house. So it's just going to trigger. The other eclipses are again they're all around January and July, all the eclipses. And basically the topics of the 6th and the 12th house that we were talking about are going to become most prominent around that time, like the health, uh, the result, letting go of some health habits, of work situations, everything that we talked a lot about that. And then lastly, I want to look at the Mercury retrograde periods, and there are three: in March, in Pisces. So for you, Leo, this is your 8th house. In July, in Cancer, that's your 12th house, but it's part of Leo as well. The first 5 degrees of Leo. So in your first house, but only those Leos from 0 to 5 degrees will feel it. And in November, it's in Capricorn, sorry, it's in Scorpio, and that is your 4th house, guys. And Leos, the ones that will feel it are Leos that are born from 10 to 30 degrees in Leo. So the March one is not affecting your degrees directly, but it's in your 8th house. You might be revising something connected to taxes, to insurances, to inheritances. You might have to give some extra documents or fix something, or work extra hard on details and documents connected to those things. Also in regards to reworking and fixing something in regards to matters connected to mutual resources or pooled money resources, or resources that are hidden resources of some sort, or money that comes to you from others, so that is your partner's resources. Don't take risks financially in March the 8th, so you don't destabilize extra the financial situation. Try to rework financial situation. And after that, by mid-April, when Mercury is already out of the shadow period forward, you can find out that you have much more balanced and much better worked out um, mutual resources with your partner, or that whatever corrections you had to do on certain terms and agreements in regards to money that is connected between you and another, or investments of some sort, that these are paying out much better, and that that there is much more order and some mistake has been fixed there. The July one, July, Mercury is retrograde from 0 to 5 degrees in Leo in your first house. So only the first 5 degrees Leos feel it the most. Later on, just to a lesser degree. So it means you will be required in July to work very hard on something using your skills. your work skills, communication, writing skills. You might be, for example, you might have to edit certain reports or have to be working on some project over a few times, go it over it a few times. Some Mercury rules marketing, advertising, management, organization, planning, talking, media, communications, TV, radio, any of those careers, or any of those administrative work, sales, um, commercial activities, commercial transactions, commerce of any sort. This can get very hectic for the early born Leos. And this can require and demand a lot of communications, a lot of some mistakes are coming up there, they have to fix them. But again, by August, when Mercury is moving direct, you'd find out that you are able to have much better results in regards to writing, speaking, any of those business commercial activities. But this can be a very important business month that makes some peak, that requires a peak skills involvement and attention to detail for you, but that gives really powerful results at the end. In you see the results though in August. While July can feel like everything is slowed down with some commercial business activities, marketing, all of those, so that you're not happy with the marketing campaign, you have to redo it, or with some project and you have to redo it, or with some writing project or whatever, and you have to fix it. But those efforts will pay off. And something really important, mercurial, like a business situation or important communications, will manifest out of that. And then the last Mercury retrograde is in your fourth house, and those Leos that are from 10 to 30 degrees feel it the most. And that's happening in November mostly, till the 20th of November. And that means that some reorganization of your home, of your furniture, of your family dynamics, some important conversations can escalate and bring up topics concerning your whole family and family arrangement situation, or with extended family or with parents. That can be a bit more demanding, a bit more stressful, that requires you, that opinions have to be expressed about certain things that are not going well and that needs to be readdressed and rebalanced. Or it might be that you're doing some repairs at home and that they take extra long time and extra effort. Or it can mean that if you're wanting to relocate or sell property or buy it, it might get delayed around November because something needs to be redone in some way. Or it can mean that you can get in touch with family you haven't seen in a long time as well, or you can revisit the country of birth, for example. So these are different ways it can play out. Or you're fixing something around the home, or you're making different, you had some plans with family but you have to regroup and reorganize them. So yeah, all those possibilities. So Leos, let's repeat. I know I said some scary things. And oh yes, Mars, of course. We forgot Mars. Mars. Just a second. Mars is very important. Mars is, and I check at Mars only when it enters the other fixed signs. So this is the period you have to be more cautious. So from mid-February till from mid-February, Mars is going in Taurus. This is your 10th house. Mars in 10th house. But from there, it is squaring the first 10 degrees. From 0 till 10 degrees. Leos, be careful till the end of, from mid-February till the end of February, first 10 degrees, Leos. You're going to have some provocations, possibly from authority figures. You might bump heads with people in power or institutions. You might, in regards to work or in regards to your authority being challenged, you might feel like provoked. But it's fantastic time to get very active and get a lot of work done and tackle problems and start new initiatives in your career. And just don't fight with authority figures, because there is a possibility of clash. And then those who are from 20 till 30 degrees, all those happens for them in March. So 20 to 30 degrees, be careful. You might feel provoked. You might feel like your buttons are pressed. You might feel, especially again, from authority figures and everything that I said, but for you it's happening then. Again, you can be extremely active time in your career, and when you get a lot of things done, um, and when you tackle up and start new projects, and you're very efficient, because Mars is like that, it gets a lot done. Just power struggles with people in power institutions, be careful and don't overreact because you feel more irritable. Then Mars enters Leo from July till mid-August. It's gonna be in your sign, Mars in Leo. Well, July in particular, those that are in the first, I don't know, 18 degrees or something, but from July till mid-August, extremely initiative time. From July, even though Mercury is retrograde, uh, for the first 5 degrees of Leo in July, in part of, July. Still, though, for almost everyone else who is a Leo, time for new beginnings. You feel energized. You can feel very assertive. You can win some battle. You can physically become, start exercising, doing some uh, muscle strengthening things. But you might be demands on you to use your physical body much more around that time. It can be, but Mars loves being in Leo. It feels exhilarated, ready for adventure, for having fun, because this is holiday time. This is fantastic time to go on some holiday that you'll be more physically active in some way, or if you have some important project to start. Uh, Despite of Mercury being retrograde in the second in your sign, if you're from 0, if you're from 5 to 25 degrees in Leo, you can do it then, and get a lot of things done. Again, Mars is have courage, be adventurous, move forward, get energized. So I like that. But again, we are more irritable if we have nothing to do. We get more irritable with ourselves, with others. We're more easy trigger happy, so we can say things we regret. So you have to be careful about that, because fights are more likely as well, and it's more stressful time. And then the last is from November. And that's basically from around the middle of November till the end of the year, so till 2020. Mars is going to be in Scorpio, which is your fourth house. Now, this can be time when you get a lot of things done around your home, when you can get a lot of things. And remember that this is also when Mercury is retrograde in Scorpio at the same time. So it's interesting that around November, and part from November and December, it seems, you'll be involved a lot with matters regarding your home, your family. You'll be fixing something. You might have to use physical energy there a lot more. You might feel like, let's move on, let's move on. But at the same time, actually, Mars goes into Scorpio. Let me see exactly when. On the 19th of November, by which time Mercury turns direct. So first, in November, you're doing some repairs and fixes and re-examining a plan for something, for family, for home, all of those things. And then Mars enters the fourth house, and you start, bam, 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 let's move in. And you start fulfilling those things, and you start making them happen. And you start, if there are any delays with property matters, so, Mars will escalate from the 19th of November to the end of the year, for things to happen very fast, and for you to do something, to put a lot of energy into some home project, into some family project, to fix things, to forge ahead. But again, it can indicate that there are some irritations and fights with family members, and some stresses that are coming from there. Because Mars is, after all, irritable planet, or that you're emotionally restless and more reactive, and that you react much more sensitively. Of course, Mars being in Scorpio, It's you know, it's very intense. It creates some power struggles. But if you have some mutual project with family, wow, Mars in Scorpio, or some mutual project connected to put your energy connected to, more personal life and stuff, property or vehicles, you can be extremely efficient and strategic and get a lot of things done from the 19th of November to the end of the year 2020. All right, that was it. Thank you so much, Leos. Interesting here. Don't forget, Jupiter is the strongest influence for you now. Yes, Saturn is making some kind of those things that I talked about. We have to work on those habits. We have to eliminate certain bad ones, some chronic conditions. You have to become more aware, and with repeated efforts, fix some work situations, put more order in our life. But we're gonna have more fun from this year as well, more romantic opportunities, more creative, and to let our mane down and be more original and more exciting and more. And I'm not gonna be doing videos anymore from my bedroom. Hopefully I can start to get more original again with my work, and not this boring white wall. Anyway, thank you so much, Leos. And if you want the written horoscopes, I'm preparing them with my teacher for each month by month. And it's beautiful presentation. There's so many slides. You can check them out. They're coming out in the start of December. And it's for each. She uses your day of birth much more and the degree she mentions, but it's fantastic. It's so meticulous and no astrology language, and it's month by month, very no nonsense, practical 12-month guide. So thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Happy great 2019.